Hey guys, Mike here. So today I'm here to talk to you about 1977's Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. In Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, Luke Skywalker joins forces with a Jedi Knight, a cocky pilot, a Wookiee and 2 droids to save the galaxy from the Empire's world-destroying weapon. And so we have Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, or as it was originally called, Star Wars. So guys, today's review was requested by one of our subscribers, Alex Birdfox, who suggested that I should watch the Star Wars original trilogy. Before I got to the original trilogy, I wanted to talk about the prequel movies. I've done that, so now we can get started with the original trilogy. So, what did I think of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope? Well, I gotta say, movies don't really get more iconic than the first Star Wars movie. One of the great movies that defined sci-fi and inspired so many cinema goers. This movie does so many great things internally and externally. At its heart, it is a somewhat simple story, but at the same time, it manages to be just so much more as well. It's an epic story about hope and the battle of good and evil. All of the characters in this movie are just so ridiculously iconic. Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Obi-Wan, Vader, all of them just bring so much to cinema. Luke, the wide-eyed optimist, Leia, the fierce princess, Han, the cocky pilot, Vader, the evil overlord. All of these characters are just amazing and they all work brilliantly within this narrative. Honestly, one of the only characters I don't like in this movie, and probably one of the only characters in Star Wars that I don't like, is C-3PO. Honestly, I just cannot stand C-3PO. He pretty much just has all of the worst qualities. He's a pessimist, he's whiny, he's complacent, he's arrogant, he's pretty much just everything that makes a bad character in my opinion. And I imagine there are people who love C-3PO out there, but I'm not one of them. For me, C-3PO is what Jar Jar Binks is to a lot of people. Even though I do kind of like Jar Jar now. But honestly, I've just never really liked C-3PO. I can understand why he's there, and he does have some important scenes throughout the franchise. It's just, I can't stand him. But other than that, solid cast of characters. But as well, with Star Wars, I don't think I've ever seen the true original version of this movie. Because as some of you may know, the original trilogy and also the prequel trilogy has gone through some changes over the years. With George Lucas fixing some scenes, adding some scenes, taking some scenes away. It is kind of hard to see this movie as the original thing. I don't know every single change that has been made from the original version, but I will say that, you know, some of them are welcome, and some of them are just a bit unnecessary. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. But honestly, as well, something I didn't really talk that much about in my prequel reviews is the score for Star Wars. I don't think any other movie in history has as many memorable themes as Star Wars does. I think probably the closest would be the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which has its fair share of memorable themes, but honestly, I would say hardly any other movie comes close to Star Wars. Honestly, you could really just tell the whole story of Star Wars just using the music. If you removed all of the dialogue from the movie and just relied on the score, you could tell the story in a very compelling way. And all that credit really goes to John Williams. A masterful score by a masterful composer. Honestly, one of the only scenes in this movie which I think is incredibly poor is the lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Vader. Now, granted, it was the very first lightsaber battle ever shown on screen, and probably both of the actors weren't trained very much. They kind of just went at each other with very little kind of coordination. So, you know, I will give them a slight pass for that. But comparing this scene to pretty much every other lightsaber battle that we've ever had, and this one just really comes up short. Having said that though, it does still hit all of the necessary character beats. The conflict between Vader and Obi-Wan, the way that Obi-Wan uses his sacrifice to inspire Luke to really use the Force, and even if the actual lightsaber duel itself is pretty poor, you cannot deny these character beats are still there. And with Vader as well, it is very easy to see why he has become one of the all-time great movie villains. From his design, his voice, his presence, everything about Vader is just near perfect movie villain. Whereas the original fanbase may see Vader as just an unstoppable force of evil, and for the longest time that's what Vader was. But as the franchise goes along, you start to really sympathize with him. And then when the prequel franchise came out, you just really see the tragic side of Vader's character. It just adds so much dimension to Vader's character. But really, even without the prequel movies, Vader was already a great character. And this movie as well still looks amazing, though it is kind of a bit moot to say that because I have only seen the remastered versions of this movie. So I can't really speak to the quality of the original movie because honestly, I haven't seen it. But even with all the fixes that have been made over the years, you cannot deny that Star Wars is still a very strong narrative. Overall, guys, the first Star Wars movie is just the epitome of iconic movie. From the characters, the themes, the settings, the score, everything about this movie is just fantastic. But do I think you guys should watch this one? Absolutely. If you haven't seen the original Star Wars trilogy, then I think you should do yourselves a favour and just give it a watch. Watch the original series, watch the prequel series, skip out the sequel series. Really, just stick to the 6 movies and you'll have a good time. Okay guys, that's my review of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think I should watch next? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!